u Rwanda ruzira ruswa n'akarengane mu cyerekezo 2050. Radio Imanzi 105.1 FM.
We got you updated. This is Radio Imanzi News in English.
You are tuned to Radio Imanzi, broadcasting from Kigali. Here is the news in English, brought to you by Fiona Umuganwa. The headlines. President Paul Kagame this Monday joined fellow East African community leaders in Nairobi, Kenya, to discuss the security situation in the eastern part of DRC. The First Lady of Rwanda, Janet Kagame, has said that the Women Forum at the Commonwealth Heads of Government Meeting 2022 will be a turning point in solving women's pressing issues. UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson will lead his country's delegation at the Commonwealth Heads of Government Meeting. Welcome back. News in detail. President Paul Kagame this afternoon joined fellow East African community leaders in Nairobi, Kenya, to discuss the security situation in the eastern part of DRC convened by President Uhuru Kenyatta. President Kenyatta received his East African community counterparts, including President Yoweri Museveni of Uganda, Evariste Ndayishimiye of Burundi, Salva Kiir Mayardit of South Sudan, and Felix Antoine Tshisekedi of DRC at the State House in Nairobi for the third East African Community Heads of State Conclave on Inter-Congolese Dialogue of the Nairobi Process. President Samia Suluhu Hassan of the United Republic of Tanzania was represented at the meeting by the country's ambassador to Kenya, High Commissioner John Stephen Simbachawene. President Kenyatta hosted the high-level meeting on the peace and security situation in eastern DRC in his capacity as the co-convener of the peace process and chairperson of the East African Community. President Museveni said that the problems affecting the region, like the crisis in Congo, need a collective approach from all regional members of the East African Community. The First Lady of Rwanda, Janet Kagame, has said that the Women Forum at the Commonwealth Heads of Government Meeting 2022 will be a turning point in solving women's pressing issues. The First Lady spoke at the opening session that was held at Kigali Serena Hotel, where women, accompanied by men, shared their commitment to help women and girls leave behind challenges that affected them since time immemorial. The First Lady of Rwanda noted that the Women's Forum is happening at crossroads of the critical economic and social changes, where the young woman, particularly in tech and innovation, may just be the game changer that is needed.
The Women's Forum is happening at the crossroads of critical economic and social change, where the young woman, particularly in tech and innovation, may just be that game changer that is needed, provided that the nurturing environment, resources and support is available. The statistic of gender inequality, which will be repeated during this forum, may be uncomfortable to hear, but they serve to highlight the importance of immediate action. After all, there is nothing pleasant about knowing that half of women across the world have experienced or know a woman who has experienced gender-based violence. There is nothing tolerable about the fact that, as we speak, 3/4 of 1 billion female children are married, and this is against their will. For us, we all know, ladies and gentlemen, children cannot consent to marriage. The draft 2020-2030 Declaration of Gender Equality, to be scripted over the next 2 days, must mobilize CHOGM and the Women's Forum for decisive action. It must not tiptoe around the gender equality emergency, but dare to seek new and bold pathways to women's political, economic and social empowerment, fully cognizant of the changing world and times where innovation, technology, climate change and geopolitical dynamics are changing the global development platform. It must defend with gusto the need for heavy investment in political will, advocacy, financial resources, partnerships, capacity and skill to attain the objective of gender equality, and the full empowerment of women and girls by 2030.
The Secretary General of the Commonwealth, Patricia Scotland, said there can be no better host than Rwanda with her amazing achievement as a champion of gender equality and women empowerment.
We knew today would come. It may have been a long time coming, but it's here now, led by the beautiful jewel that is Rwanda, the land of 1,000 hills, and also the land of 1,000 opportunities. This is the first CHOGM in Africa for more than a decade. And the first Commonwealth Women's Forum ever to be held on this wonderful continent. And I know we will have an empowering and fruitful discussion. And there can be no better host than Rwanda, with her amazing achievements as a champion of gender equality and women's empowerment. Women have been integral to the recovery and transformation of this nation in its journey from devastation to a powerhouse of development and progress. And I recognize Rwanda's leadership in building strong policy and legal frameworks, and I salute her achievements in ensuring women and girls are central to the development of the nation.
The Women's Forum seeks to assert a massive support and promote top-level policies for gender equality and human rights, provide women with opportunities to interact with heads of government, and ensure the Commonwealth's gender equality obligations are a concern for the heads of governments. The 26th Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting kicked off in Kigali with the youth at the center of deliberations on day one. Rwanda's Minister of Youth and Culture, Rosemary Mbabazi, asked the young leaders at the forum whether they are present to take charge of the future. The minister also encouraged the young leaders to create innovations that respond to the problems within their community.
Are you present to take charge of your future, or you only procrastinating? Are you doing what is necessary to create your future, or you leave it to chances? Are you determined to leave the world a better place than you found it, or it's someone else's duty? The mindset of the people who take charge of their destiny, I want just to highlight a few, but you must be having also a lot, because I think you thought about the topic and the theme of today. I believe these are people who are present. By being present physically, spiritually, psychologically, economically, name it. Are you present? Do you think about what to take the charge of the future means? They are present, they organize their lives, they are self-disciplined, they keep time, they're responsible. They are responsible and responsive. They adapt to change, and I think we saw this mostly during the COVID pandemic. We never knew that this would happen. But people who survived are those who adapted and were responsive to the current challenges, and they became relevant. They don't make excuses. We don't want to have leaders who have a lot of excuses. So no excuse leaders who won't say, no, it's not me, it's someone else, pointing on others and forgetting about ourselves. Do we have no excuse leaders? They know trust and respect is earned and not given. You don't expect to be respected or to be trusted just like that. You earn it, you work for it. In Rwanda, we have positioned the young people at the center of our nation's transformation. As this presents many opportunities to leverage their potential, innovation, and open their minds and imaginations. The Youth Forum was curated from young people's ideas by determining the topic of discussion, but also having the majority of their peers sitting on various panels that you are going to hear for the next 3 days. Dear young people present, this forum will not only set a comfortable slot for you to share ideas, exchange and network with others, but also will leave concrete actions regarding your active involvement in decision-making, trade, entrepreneurship, environment, information technology, to mention a few. I encourage you to build networks that will turn into long-term markets needed for your innovations. Create innovations that responds to the problems within our communities. I am sure you will leave here with more knowledge and transformed mindset.
The youth delegates highlighted the need to take charge of the future, but also focusing on culture. It was observed that culture plays an essential role when it comes to promoting diversity and inclusivity. According to some of the participants at the forum creates a platform to build cross-cultural connections and networks, an opportunity to learn from each other, which they say is fundamental and can be a catalyst for youth taking the reins of our future.
And I think that culture plays a pivotal role in constructing our future, especially coming together with different cultures. Growing up in a certain area, eating certain kinds of foods, participating in certain cultural celebrations. Everyone has their own unique perspectives on life and what's important and their values.
I think culture is definitely a unifying force. It is one of those things that truly brings people together in a meaningful way. It's almost, I think any great policy discussion, any great forum, you must start with introducing aspects of each other's culture. Culture breeds understanding, and understanding and mutual respect is how we grow and work together.
Gaspard Twagirayezu, Rwanda's minister in charge of primary and secondary education, reckoned that embracing cultural diversity is core to achieving a common future and devising solutions to complex global challenges.
I think culture is a way for us to express ourselves through our own identity. And if you look at the theme that we are discussing today here, taking charge of our future, of course, I think it starts with our own voice, as young people, as the youth. And it's very important that we sit down and listen to the young people, what they want and how they see their future. So, and the discussions that we are having here today are very important. And if I may give you a little example, when we were preparing for the Commonwealth, we ran a competition in our schools. We ran a drawing competition, and we asked our young people, primary school students, to imagine what the Commonwealth is through their being Rwandan, right? So, and we had many good drawings of young people who were not only imagining what the Commonwealth could be, but also telling us how they see it today. So, and I think education and culture, these are all mechanisms that are in place to help our young people find their voice. And as leaders, we should actually always be looking for that voice and to make sure that what we are doing, or the policies we are putting in place, the strategies that we are putting in place, are all responding to what the youth see themselves as, and also the future that they want to see.
More than 60% of Commonwealth citizens are under the age of 30, and the Youth Forum is seen as an opportunity to exchange youth-related challenges and explore ways to tap into innovative and economic opportunities for growth. Nobel Prize-winning economist Professor Michael Kramer has revealed learning gains in a major study in Africa are among the largest in the international education literature. The holistic methodology studied predominantly underpins the government of Rwanda's transformative education program, Rwanda Education Quality Improvement Program, designed to transform learning outcomes across the public school system. The findings show that attending schools delivering highly standardized education has the potential to produce dramatic learning gains at scale. The study conducted on New Globe-supported schools in Kenya further suggests that children living in underserved African communities could benefit from 53% more learning over the course of their early childhood and primary school career. The findings were presented at the 2022 Education World Forum in London. Clement Wajeneza, Rwanda Equip Managing Director, said Rwanda is proud that an independent study of this size, led by a Nobel Prize-winning economist, has found such unequivocal evidence of large learning gains delivered by a methodology that is currently being used in schools across Rwanda.
Some items of international news on Radio Imanzi.
UK Prime Minister Boris Johnson will lead his country's delegation at the Commonwealth Heads of Government meeting in Kigali. According to Omar Dayil, the British High Commissioner to Rwanda, the delegation will also include Liz Truss, the UK Secretary of State for Foreign, Commonwealth and Development Office, as well as British lawmakers and civil society representatives. Other senior UK delegates include Alok Sharma, the president of the 26th Conference of Parties, and Lord Tariq Ahmad of Wimbledon, the UK Minister of State for the Commonwealth. In a tweet, Dale added, "And of course, Their Royal Highness will be with us. The Prince of Wales, Prince Charles, is attending in his capacity as future head of the Commonwealth." Commonwealth leaders are traveling to Rwanda to affirm their common values and agree actions and policies to improve the lives of all their citizens. Kenya has reinstated mandatory mask wearing in indoor public spaces, including public service vehicles and flights, to tame the spread of COVID-19. People are also required to wear masks in offices, supermarkets and places of worship. The health minister said the number of infections is worryingly high, and if the trajectory continues, the August elections might be affected without explaining how. The Taliban have released several British citizens who were detained in Afghanistan after an agreement was reached between the two countries. The detainees were released following a series of meetings between Afghan and British officials. The officials pledged to respect the laws of Afghanistan, the traditions and culture of the Afghan people, and not to violate them again. With that, we come to the end of tonight's edition.